Good afternoon. My name is Alba Cuña. I am from San Juan de Betulia. I am studying foreign language. I want to start this interview with teacher Danilo Ortega.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. My name, as you said before, is Danilo Ortega. I am an English and French teacher. Right now, I'm working at a public institution, Normal Superior de Corozal, and in a private institution as well. So, thank you for your invitation.
The first question says, what do you think in the relationship between language and culture?
Okay, the relationship between language and culture. Okay, language and culture are two things that are closely related. Bearing in mind that language is the vehicle of our communication, is the mean of our communication, culture is one as well. In fact, language is part of our culture since it encompasses all our customs and forms of expression, and language is one of them. Therefore, it is correct to say that language and culture coexist in perfect symbiosis.
The next question, what is the influence of culture in the foreign language process?
Okay, the influence of culture in a foreign language process. Well, having understood the relationship that exists between language and culture, we can then affirm that culture addresses all the aspects involved in the learning process of a language, not only in its content, but in the form of its expression. For instance, the accents vary according to the geographical areas and the culture itself. The idiomatic expressions that are linguistic aspects are set out by culture. So, when learning a language, not only grammatical aspects are learned, but also the strategies that derive from the cultural parameters in which it is developed. This is the clear influence between culture and the language, and in a more precise way of culture in the language.
Okay. What cultural expression do you know country has strong language?
Okay, so culture can be expressed in many ways. Each country is known for having its own traditions and events that have a long history showing the idiosyncrasy of people. These expressions can be through music, artics, narrations, movies, or series that more explicitly address the use of language. Moreover, literature is, from my point of view, of course, the highest expression of a country in terms of its language throughout its culture.
Why do you think it is important to have an oral tradition in a country?
Oral tradition is important because it has the capacity to transmit the customs, teachings, thoughts, among others, to the people. The oral tradition gives rise to the written tradition. For example, people who cannot read or even write have only one way to spread their experiences. Even at the beginning of history, everything was transmitted orally. And nowadays, many cultural customs are maintained due to this tradition.
The next question, what do you think? Do we teach language using culture or do we teach culture using language?
Again, this is very clear, and we definitely teach language using culture. Why? As I mentioned before, language is an expression of culture, and language is not something isolated. That means, on the contrary, it makes more sense when we contextualize it, when we learned from it the experience of the native speaker. So, of course, we teach best, we teach language using culture.
Do you take culture into account in the strategies you use in your English class? Can you give me some example?
Of course. Actually, when you as a teacher are going to plan a class, you establish a series of competencies in order that the students have a broad approach to the language. One of those competencies is the sociocultural, where the aim is to take the student to the context of the language they are learning. Thus, you can imagine the culture of a native speaker. For instance, if you're teaching present simple, right, as a linguistic adjective, you can establish learned to learn the use of present simple, right? And then as a communicative adjective, you can say to talk about my daily routine. And finally, as a sociocultural adjective, you can say to compare the daily routine of an American and a Colombian. So this way culture is taught in a class. And of course, we use culture in our classes.
Thank you very much for attention.
Okay, thanks. See you.